Hey, it's John and Mike from brew-juice.com. So, we have another installment of tasting cider. John's becoming quite the cider aficionado, cider brewer. So, tell us what we've got here in front of us tonight.
Okay, this has become more of an annual thing. In the fall, I get some pressed apple juice, and then I put together some kind of hard cider. I'm going to say hard cider for all our American viewers because that's what we know it to be, but it is the 2013 edition of cider, which of course in early 2014 is prime time to taste it and to enjoy it. So some notes on what I put together. Like in 2012, it was all about trying different things. I had so much pressed apple juice from so many different places, and it was doing all kinds of crazy things. I did like a New England version, I did a cran version, I did just a straight up English, what I thought was an English dry cider. And then, so this was sort of a New England cider light, okay? So this had pressed apple juice that I got from Cider Hill Farms up in Amesbury, Massachusetts. I mixed in 2 pounds of honey, probably some combination of white sugar and brown sugar, and let that ferment with an English ale yeast for probably a month. After that was done, I racked to a secondary vessel, when then I added raisins. Raisins, because I had learned that this was something that people did with New England ciders. So just sun-made raisins right out of the package. I just put them right in the carboy.
Black raisins, like the dark ones?
Yep, just like the ones that you get in the little red boxes when you're in elementary school, but I just bought a big pound.
Oh, because you're in high school.
At least. And I can eat as many as I want now. So I think I put a pound of raisins in. I will probably link.
So that's post-fermentation.
That's post-fermentation. This is an actual secondary fermentation that I did with the little yeast and probably some of the sugars on the raisins in the cider.
Does the do you see active re-fermentation?
Yeah. Well,
what does it look like?
It's little tiny bubbles, like the same that you would see with a champagne yeast.
Do you get like any foam, like a Krausen, or is just you get some bubbles right
a little bit of bubbles that are coming out of your mouth right now. There you go. But yeah, it's just a little bit. And what we'll do is we'll link to the post where I have some real close-up pictures on that, and you'll see that the yeast is starting to grow on the raisins, and you'll see that there's some bubbles on those raisins as they float on the surface of the cider in the carboy. So I really wanted to see what that did to the cider, because I thought it would bring some kind of different flavors, knowing that it's a little different yeast than it is like an ale yeast, and just try to figure that out in the final product. Now I did use raisins before, but I cut them up, I steamed them. I didn't do it right. I thought I don't know, I think that I missed the point of, like, you want to get the natural yeast that's on the raisins and probably get some of the sugars in there too to affect the final cider. So those went in. I think I let those go in probably another month, racked again, waited until it cleared as best as possible, I guess, and then bottled it up, did a small smidgen of probably a California dry ale yeast, some sugar, just to get a little bit of carbonation in the bottle, and that was it. Let it sit for another month because it was so slow to carbonate in the bottle, and just be patient. That was one thing I learned. I was just checking it like every week, like 2 weeks. I was like, where are the bubbles? And I was really getting depressed. But after a month, finally get some carbonation, what you have there, and then I just shoved it all back into a fridge to cold crash it. So this is what we're dealing with. Here we are.
All right, let's work backwards on this for a little bit, because so first of all, so first and foremost, working backwards.
Yep.
The carbonation on this is stupendous.
You like it?
It is spot on the money. The bubbles are fine, but there's plenty of bubble there. But it's not over carbonated. It's not you know. But there's just a really pleasant carbonation there. Yeah. What was the gravity before you bottled it? Do you know what remember what the gravity was?
Yes, it was just around 10-10.
10-10, really? Okay, great.
Yeah, it didn't get close. Maybe scratch that. Let's do some more research. I know that it was a 10-10 at the end of primary fermentation. So I don't know. I'll have to check my notes to see if it dropped any further, and then we can update the post. Just go in the post and you'll see. But yeah, it doesn't seem that like it seems drier than 1010. Yeah,
it's pretty dry, but there's still enough residual sweetness there to really carry the whole. To carry the day. I mean, there's enough sweetness there that it really still tastes very cider-like to me.
Yeah.
Now that my palate has adjusted to it, I'm still working backwards in experience. Now my palate has adjusted to it, I really think I can taste more of like apple and almost actually apple skin.
Mm.
Okay, so there's a subtle maybe tannic quality from the skins, but I can really taste apple skin. Mm. I get like a pleasant amount of like green apple in this.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder. I mean, the juice is, if it was a pressed blend or whatever.
It is.
So
yeah.
whatever that is, it's really lending to a very dynamic apple flavor. Mm. But my first impression when I first drink it, there's a great acidity here that I don't think I've ever really experienced in any of your other ciders.
No.
But once your palate adjusts to the cider, to that acidity, then you can really, there's some real depth in the apple flavor. Yeah. And I think that's probably maybe some of that depth of flavor, at least maybe is coming from the raisins and that darker sugar quality. Mm. But that is pretty in the background. It's very subtle. Mm. Like I don't think it tastes raisin. I don't think it tastes honey-like at all.
No.
It is complex apple. Mm. I think that this is probably the most complex, easy drinking cider that you've made to date.
Yeah.
I mean, this one is I can't stop drinking this one. This is cider. This is really good cider.
Yeah. So a few things. I think that the tannins, or what you think is the apple peel, I bet you that came from the raisins. That's my feeling, because I did have a lot of like little tastings in between.
Sure.
And it, even like at bottling, after I put in the sugar and the California ale yeast, it was really sweet. And I'm like, God, I hope the yeast does its thing to dry this out. And it did. I mean, the taste of this cider between week 3 and week 4 in the bottle was so night and day, so much different. And it was just that yeast needed to kill out some of that sugar that I had added into bottling. And once it did, it gave you what we have.
So you've bottled this with some US-05, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to take like 2 bottles and put them out at room temperature somewhere,
okay. Yep.
somewhere in your conditioning area, just because US-05 is a great attenuator.
Sure.
So it'd be interesting to see what this tastes like, even drier. And I think US-05, despite the bottling effects, I think it'll go a little bit further. Just a bottle or 2, just to see what in comparison to the ones that you've crash chilled. But I mean, the ones you've crash chilled, I mean, we're gonna drink this is probably the best cider that I've ever had. Homemade cider, it's fantastic.
Well, there you go. Now, unfortunately, my luck in competition with ciders has not been great. I think I've complained about it enough on the blog. I'm not going to do it again here. So the plan is to find some cider-only competitions and, nationally known ones. I think I got a good suggestions from somebody who left a comment on the blog. I just got to figure out the timing and when all the particulars I have to do to get it submitted. Do that and get some expert, honest feedback and some notes on if this is good or not. So go right ahead. So that's it. That's cider. The only thing I have to say is, with the last New England cider that I made, I oaked it.
Oh, no way.
Don't mess with that.
Keep the wood out of this one. I'm telling you right now.
No wood.
I would drink pints of this and then make some really bad decisions.
Okay. This is
the
best compliment I've heard all night.
This is fantastic.
Let's make some bad decisions.
Great cider.
All right. So for John and Mike, brewdashies.com, we don't only just brew beer, we also make some cider and, sometimes make it okay. So brew on.
Cider on.
Cider on.